So in this video, I'm going to talk about Pinyin. Pinyin is a way of writing Chinese sounds using Roman letters. So Chinese has lots of sounds. A lot of them are very different from ours, and there is a way of writing them down using our Roman letters, and it's called Pinyin. There are many systems, and Pinyin is the I think the most universal and the most popular one. So that's why I'm going to talk about it. In this first part of the, I think it's going to be a two-part series, I'm going to talk about the so-called initials in Pinyin, which is the first section, if you will, of a Chinese syllable. And the second section is called the final. So initials and finals, and I'm going to talk about the initials, which are usually consonants, and the consonants that you can see basically on this screen. One remark that I would like to say is that the letters that you can see here not always correspond to the sounds that they would correspond in English, for instance, right? Because especially it's true of this group over here, this last sort of bluish group. Sounds in Chinese, there are lots of sounds that are very different from our Western languages, and whoever was responsible for creating Pinyin had to choose some letters arbitrarily to represent these alien sounds. So of course, if you'd have an X, Q, and J in a Chinese syllable, for instance, you would have a XI, QI, and JI in the first tone, then you would read it as follows: Xi, Qi, Ji. So as you can see, it has nothing to do with X, Q, and J in English, for instance, right? Xi, Qi, Ji. And this is the case for, I hope, all consonants in this group. This arrangement that you can see over here is my personal division. You may like it, you may not like it, but I sort of separated or arranged these consonants according to how distant or they are from our languages, or how difficult or easy they are. So this one is the easiest one. This group is the easiest one, or the closest group to our languages. This is the second most difficult, and this is completely alien, I would say, or very alien to most Western languages. So the first group consists of, in my opinion, four sounds, four consonants, F, M, and L, and they are pronounced, I would say, 90% or 95% the same as they are in Chinese as they would be pronounced in most Western languages. So just to give you an example, let's try the syllable where we have A in basically as the final, or as the main vowel, all in the first tone. It would be fa, ma, na, la. Nothing too difficult, and I think we can move on to the next group. So the next group is I would say a group of pairs. This is a pair, this is a pair, and this is a pair. I think, and then we have this H, and I will explain to you why it's a bit off. So the first three letters are BDG, and I think they are pronounced roughly the same way as they would be pronounced in English or other European languages. Again, let's choose the syllable where we have an A vowel as the main vowel in it, and we would go in the first tone. Ba, da, ga. Again, ba, da, ga. And you might or might have not noticed, but the only thing that you need to pay attention to here is that these are unvoiced. And this is very important because, for instance, in Slovak, which is my native language, BDG are voiced. So if I was to read BA, DA, and GA in Slovak, I would read it ba, da, ga. But it's not ba, da, ga, it's ba, da, ga. It's a little bit confusing for us. For me at least, it was confusing for a very long time. I didn't really notice that I was making a mistake, and it took me some time to devoice the BDG when I was speaking. And the second row is basically the unvoiced syllable with an aspiration. So if you say this is a PTK, Americans, or usually I think people who speak English well, they don't have problems with aspirated syllables because they already exist in English. So you have a PTK, and as I said, PTK, they're already aspirated. But again, for like if you come from a language like maybe Slavic languages, I don't think there are many aspirated, if any, consonants. And so therefore we had to learn how to aspirate. And for those who need to learn how to aspirate a P or a T or a K, I suggest you just take like a sheet of paper, put it in front of your mouth, and if you make the aspiration, if you produce the aspiration correctly, the paper should move. So if you say P and you blow away the paper, or T, K, you're producing the sound correctly. So if I choose the A again as the main vowel in these in these three consonants, that would be pa, ta, ka, right? We can do something more complicated like wo. So that would be po, to, ko, right? You can hear that little after I pronounce the P or T or K. Po, to, ko, right? And why I have this little H over here is that basically that H is that aspiration. So if you have po, and if you remove that unvoiced, that P from the beginning, what you end up with is this thing plus an H. So that would be po, ho. Let me try to, maybe you can notice that po, ho. That is basically the H sound. And that's why I put it here, so that you can relate it to the entire aspirated initial group. So just to revise, that would be pa, ta, ga, remember unvoiced, and then the pair pa, ta, ka, and then you have this little H at the end, which is basically the aspiration. So we have po, ho. If you take away the P from the beginning, you end up with po, ho. All right. Hope I didn't confuse you too much, because the most difficult group is probably where it will be even more confusing. So this group is definitely the most difficult group when it comes to Chinese sounds, especially the consonants. And let me just first pronounce all of these sounds with the I vowel, but as you will see, the I is not pronounced as an I would be in English, for instance. So first row first. Xi, qi, ji. Second row. Si, ci, zi. Third row. Shi, chi, zhi, zhi. I know it's probably you didn't even notice differences between individual sounds when I did that, and it's natural because it will take some time until your ear gets adjusted to these small nuances in pronunciation. So let me just do that again. Xi, qi, ji, si, ci, zi, shi, chi, zhi, zhi. All right, and this should be the standard way of pronouncing these letters. I mean, the pronunciation varies depending on where you are in China or in Taiwan, and people do all sorts of things when they pronounce these, but this should be the standard. And now I'll try to explain to you why I arranged it the way I arranged it. So, the individual layers, the way they differ from each other is the position of the tongue. In the first, and I we're probably going to have to draw a little diagram of somebody's mouth, or just a mouth. So this is doesn't look like it, but this is this is the mouth from the side. So it's like a cross section of your mouth. This is the top teeth, the bottom teeth. This should be the tongue, but I'm not drawing it yet. This is the top of your mouth, the bottom of your mouth. So in the top row, let me choose a different color, maybe magenta. The tongue is resting. The tip of the tongue is resting over here, and the tongue is sort of like this. And the tongue is a big organ, right? So let me just draw it like that. The tip of the tongue is resting somewhere over here on your lower teeth, and the rest is somewhere over here. And let me choose a different color, maybe green. The sound, or basically the air, is flowing through this little gap. Over here where the tongue is, it's being articulated, and I'm not sure if I'm using the correct term, but that place is what gives it that special, that distinct feature of this entire row, and it just exits through here, and that's how you can hear the sound. So this is the first row. The second row, and I'm wondering how I should do it so that it doesn't really confuse you too much. Let me just get rid of the tongue. In the second row, the tongue is placed, the tip of the tongue is placed over here. So basically where the teeth end and the something which is called, if I'm correct, the hard plate, so basically the top of your mouth, that is not your teeth anymore, and so it's basically between that where your teeth end, that's where the tongue should be, and the air is flowing again through here. This is where it gets that little twitch and exits, that little distinct feature, and it exits out of your mouth, and that's how you produce the second row. This is the second row. And the third row is called a retroflex. So the tongue is curled. It's curled like this. And the tip of the tongue is really not super back in your mouth, but quite back in your mouth. And it's produced, the little twitch, that little distinct feature of that sound is produced over here and exits your mouth. And also because you have this little cavity, so the sound is a bit richer and fuller and more colorful, but basically that's where the sound is getting that little distinct feature. So 3 positions of the tongue. The first one in the first row is over here. The second row is over here, and the third is over here, right? So if I say xi qi xi, xi qi ji, the tongue is over here. So the first row, maybe I should choose different colors. Let me choose different colors. So first is over here. This is the first row. Second is over here. This is the second row. And the third is over here. 3. This is the third row, right? Should be pretty straightforward when I write it like this. So if I start pronouncing the first row with the tongue resting on lower teeth, it will be xi, qi, ji. The second row, you raise the tongue a bit higher and you sort of press it slightly, not too much. And you can't press it because no air will go out, but you have it over here in this position. So it's th, th, th. And the third position is the retroflex one, which is sh, ch, j, r. All right? I know it's very hard because most of these sounds are different, but this is sort of like the mechanics. Now, a good place to start with this entire group is over here with the CH sound, because that sound is something that we have, for instance, in English. If you say churn or leisure, the tongue is curled quite back. Even if you say things like rest, the American R, it's approaching that position. It's very close to where the tongue should be in this entire row. So it's basically your tongue is curled back, just like if I say curl, the tongue is back, and you have to you have to try to move that tongue a bit more forward or backward depending on how far you are from the real Chinese sound, but that's roughly the position. So if you find the position for the CH sound, which is, for instance, in curl or churn or leisure, it's back there, that's where the CH sound is. And from there, we can go to all of these sounds. Why? Because the CH sound, basically the entire central column, is a combination of 2 things, an explosion and a noise. So let me just show you what I have in mind when I say that. CH, if we write a little I next to it, let me get rid of that square. So if we have a syllable, a Chinese syllable, which is CHI, in the first tone it will be pronounced ch, ch. Now if we go to the left and pronounce the SH sound, so first again the ch, ch, The SH sound is only the noise. So this is ch, and this is sh, ch, sh, with the tongue curled back in the retroflex position. And if we go to the right, this is only the explosion, a slightly voiced explosion of the ch. So this is ch, sh, and this is j. It helped me really a lot to decompose this like that. Maybe it will not be as helpful to you. This is only my way of explaining it. Maybe it will if you look at it this way. Let me just try again. So the central syllable is ch. This one is just the noise, sh, and this is just the explosion, j. And together they are ch, slightly voiced explosion. Same thing works for the second row. You move your tongue to the second position, and let me add a little vowel to that. So the central sound, the CI sound, is the explosion and the noise together. Th, th. This is only the noise. Th. This one is th, 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 th. And this is only the explosion of the th, th, th. Slightly voiced one. And this first row, where the tongue is resting on the bottom teeth, front teeth, the QI is the explosion and the noise. So chi, chi. This is only the noise, shi, and this is only the explosion, slightly voiced, ji, ji. All right. So chi, shi, ji. And I didn't talk about the R yet. It's very easy. If you know how to do this syllable over here, so it's sh, sh. So that's just a noise. You basically voice the noise. So this is sh, and this is zh. Maybe you can, it will sound really strange when I do it, but I will first show you this syllable unvoiced, and then I will just turn on my vocal cords and we will switch to this syllable over here, this syllable over here. So this will be, I will first say this one and then transit to this one. Sh, sh, zh. And then if I only do the noise sound, so it's sh, and then I turn on the voice, zh, sh. That's it. So sh, zh. When I was learning and I realized this was really helpful, maybe it will be helpful to you too. So let me just, as you probably noticed, remark one thing, that in each, basically in all of these sounds, I added a little I to it, but it's pronounced nothing like an I in English, and it's pronounced differently in all three rows. In this case, it's I, Xi. In this case, it's Si. And in this case, it's I, Shi. So these two are the difference between these two is very, very small. And if you're a beginner in Chinese, you don't even need to worry about that. But the difference between these two is very big. This is an I and this is an U, right? So you need to pay attention to that. Chinese is very complicated and difficult to learn. And it's natural that there are many obstacles, but so you don't need to necessarily pay attention to every single small detail as you begin. But this is something that you really should pay attention to, because I and U is a huge difference. They are written exactly the same way, but that is a problem of pinyin. That is just something that will confuse you. All right. So to recap everything, let me just pronounce every syllable that is on the screen one more time. So you go in the first tone: fa, ma, na, la, pa, ta, ka, pa, ta, ka, ho, xi, qi, ji, si, ci, zi, shi, chi, zhi, zhi. All right. So I hope this video didn't confuse you too much. This is my take on Pinyin, how I understand it, how I group the sounds together. It helped me very much to have these three groups right from the start. So the easiest group, the second one, which is like pairs, and then the third, 3 columns and 3 rows, with the R being sort of a standalone not understandable, but not fitting into the 3 columns and 3 rows system. Feel free to comment, feel free to give me your ideas and improvements, and talk about details that I missed. Hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I will see you in the next video.